I've said this before. I have a difficult time thinking you can build a contender and you can build around Luka for a contender with LeBron still on the roster. And it's not a shot at LeBron. I'll see some people say, oh, you're just hating on LeBron. The dude's 40. He's about to be 41. What he's doing at this stage of his career is unheard of. But if you're going to take up that much money, $50+ million to go towards LeBron, and you're not 100% sure what he's going to bring you this upcoming season or some of the deficiencies that he has, it's just kind of the reality. I have a difficult time thinking that you could accomplish both, that you can build a contender and still have LeBron on your roster, or completely build around Luka until LeBron's no longer on the roster.
Right.
So
and
we'll see how that obviously.
I don't know how new ownership doesn't fix this issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, deeper pockets doesn't fix it. The second apron is kind of the line that really you can't really spend over. Now you can, but you have limited tools. Let's say that it's just over 200 this next year. Let's say it's 200 exactly, and let's say that LeBron's making 50 million exactly. He's making 25% of the budget, right? Like, how do you build around that when one is, if that's the player that you're building around as your core? Of course you can do that, but if you're putting in 25% of your budget into a guy who's really only here for 1 or 2 more years, maybe 3, and isn't the guy who's going to get you to the next title, he might be, again, like if they had a center, if they were healthy, there's always the shot that the Lakers could have got matched up with the Thunder and beat the Thunder. It's possible, but it's the difference between pocket aces versus going after an inside straight draw. It's like you got the goods and you're building around the goods, or you kind of sort of maybe get the goods if you get the exact right cards in the exact right time, and that's like the difference. Right now, the Lakers they have a shot, but it might cost them Austin Reeves because you've got so much in LeBron. And I'm not saying to get rid of LeBron. I'm just saying, like, it's
just the reality.
This is
the reality.
Situation.
His situation is very, very, very unique. He is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. He's still playing at a high level. He's box office every single night, and he's also old. I mean, that's just that. I think that there's a reality to the situation, and I think with new ownership, and I think with LeBron, I think if you told me that, hey, the next couple of years, it's going to have to look like a perfect roster and a perfect scenario to actually compete for a championship, that's probably more likely than, hey, this team looks great and they're the favorites going in. Like, I don't know if favorites going in happens over these next 2 years or so, unless they're wildly creative and things just kind of go their way.
Sure. And like, we have the draft this week, and they have a non-nuclear option of like trading Dalton Connect. They have some draft compensation. The risk is like, if you put it into something now, is it just a Band-Aid, or is it like sustainable over a long period of time? So the easiest move for the Lakers when it comes to financially would be trying to get like Walker Kessler. And I say his name because he makes the same money roughly as Connect. So if you're saying, go after Miles Turner, or like find a way to bring in like a 20 something $30 million player, that's where it's challenging. That's why Mark Williams worked. It didn't work out because of his physical, and everyone in the NBA scope knew that like he had bad reputation when it came to health. But he's $6 million this coming season. So the logic of going after a cheap one, which basically means a young one, those are not bad things. Like getting a young center to pair with Luka for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years that can blossom and grow, that right now is cheap, but then you have to pay when the time comes within a year or two. I get it. That makes sense, right? Like Kessler, if you get him, he's not cheap for long,
sure,
but he's probably going to be in the $19-20 million range once you pay him. Maybe he wants 25 or something like that. If he doesn't ask for too much, Utah doesn't trade him. It has to be him asking for too much and Utah saying, we're not going to pay that guy that much. Let's trade him. Let's go draft Malawak in the draft at 5, right? Like, those are the kind of pathways that could happen in a matter of days. So the Lakers could solve these issues, but the other teams understand all of the conversation we're having right now about this boxed in situation for the Lakers. They're happy to give the Lakers a way out, but they need to profit off of it. And when you profit off of the Lakers, and now you're taking away the resources they have to do other things. So if the draft comp goes for Walker Kessler, who is good, not elite, but he's a very good defender at the rim, but can he switch? Like, is he a big enough of a lob threat? Is he athletic enough? These are all questions that they would have to evaluate. Not at $4 million, but at the next contract and the resources you gave up. So it's if he's 20 a year, and then you gave up a first, another first, the only other first they really have to give.
Sure.
Now can you? But
he better be the guy.
And is LeBron, because LeBron got hurt like in the playoffs, we didn't see it in the same level because they just lost the game and it was the last game. But had the Lakers won that game, LeBron wouldn't have played the rest of the playoffs probably because of the knee injury, the MCL. Of the CLs that you want to sprain, the M is the one that you want to sprain, right? It's like the one that you can get over without surgery. You can recover from it maybe in weeks, maybe in a couple of months.
But not in 2 days.
Right. Like he was done. And so anyway.
Let me ask you this, and I know you've been very kind with your time here, but I'm curious to just get your opinion on this. What's a great offseason for the Lakers that you feel like is also realistic? So just kind of looking at some of their needs, obviously looking at the challenges that they're going to have. How would you define, hey, that was a really good offseason for the Lakers, and we're not throwing pie in the sky here as it's not realistic?
Right. So they need a starting center who can play big. They probably should bring back Jackson Hayes because, number one, he was very good in his role. You just know that it's a limited role. And number two,
come off the bench.
Yeah, but he's also with WME, same agent as Luka, so there is a certain amount of business to take care of. I'm fine with them bringing back Jackson. He's a good dude. He's good in the locker room. But then you probably need one more center. Like they should have 3 centers, not one center. You need 3 because there are injuries. And I'm not talking like Alex Len. I'm saying guys that you can rely on. Now you have Trey Jemison as a two-way that can help. But realistically, they need 3 playable centers. They are fine at forward for the most part, but they need defense in the backcourt. And I like what Gabe does defensively, but you need kind of a bigger, better version offensively. And if you can't get that, keep Gabe and supplement to it. I think you probably need if they can upgrade Vanderbilt, because I think he's such a one-way player. I think that there's limits to what he can do in the playoffs because they really struggle to score. That's not a definitive thing because if you have enough shooting around him. So and then really it's resolve the Austin Reeves question. Like you can't pay him because the money doesn't work right now. But if you're going to cash him out, it's got to be for an example would be, and I don't think this is a realistic one. Like if you can get a Bam Adebayo type for an Austin Reeves, I don't think you can, but that's if you're saying, trade Austin Reeves for Nicholas Claxton, I'm saying, I don't think Nicholas Claxton is the solution. Like Nicholas Claxton is smaller and lighter than Jackson Hayes, right? He's about an inch shorter and he weighs 5 pounds lighter. Now, if you say, but he's better. Okay. If he's better, that's fine. But is he, if Hayes is $5 million, are you paying 5 times that to get somebody who's a little better but is actually smaller? And then what do you give up? Because they only have so many resources to match those salaries. If you're giving up a Maxey or a Gabe Vincent or a Vanderbilt or whatever, that money is irreplaceable. Now you've got it all in one guy, as opposed to being able to spread that money around into other pieces, which is the reality. So I would like to see depth, and they weren't that far off. And it goes back to your original question as we kind of wrap up. Like the Pacers, who knew, right? Like who knew that they weren't that far off last year. They got to the conference final. Like they were great last year, and haven't even been on anyone's radar in the last last few years. Suddenly they're one of the best teams. Like the margins aren't as huge as people want. Someone comes in, Lakers are a million years from winning. No, they're not. They're close. It's not oh, you need some gigantic, like, oh, you need to go trade for Giannis, right? Like, they're not far off, because in basketball, you're not far off. You just have to be healthy. Just have to be, the right pieces. You can't go into a postseason with no center. Like, how are you going to win like that? And I could see how they could win some games, maybe even a series, but they weren't going to win a title. So I think there's reason for Laker fans to be optimistic, but they are in a difficult spot because they don't have this long list of draft picks or movable pieces that are overwhelmingly going to help them just boom, we're going to go trade and get all of our needs met. It's going to be finding, that needle just through the right decisions, and maybe new ownership makes that easier. As far as I can tell, things don't change in the next week. They still operate the same way they've operated probably for at least a year, 18 months.
Sure.
So if you're expecting it to be different in the next week or in free agency, I don't think it's going to be that different, good or bad.
All right, thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.